ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Rimshots with Sean right here on the Rock Rage Radio Network. And I have a young man here. I've been describing him and his mates as the next wave of musicians that are giving me hope that maybe the genre that I grew up loving has a fighting chance going forward. Mr. Gavin Evick, how are you, sir?
I am great. How are you?
Hey, man, I can't complain. We're finally getting some good weather up here in Canada.
Oh yeah.
So not going to complain about that. So look, you're having some great success with that first tune. I got to hear it about 2.5, 3 weeks before it came out. A gentleman by the same last name as you. I won't say who he is, but he shared it with me, just asking for my opinion, and I played it. And the person that was listening to it with me basically said, "What a great summertime tune." Is that the feedback you're getting as people are hearing it for the first time?
Yeah. A lot of people agree that, a lot of people, everybody says that their song is the song of the summer,
Yeah.
but feedback I'm getting, everybody says, it's going to be stuck in their head for the whole summer. It's their road trip song. It's their perfect summer song,
I tell you what, I'm not saying it sounds like that, but it reminded me of "Summertime Girls" by Y&T. That vibe where, and again, I don't know if you're getting that. Nobody's brought that up to me, but where I was I was in Cuba when I heard it, and nursing a sunburn and drinking beer on a pool deck, and got the vibe right away. What would you compare it to?
That's hard. I would say it's a mix of a few songs. It's definitely big into Nothing But a Good Time, but also Summer of '69. And it's also got a little bit of Nickelback in it, I would say. It's, it's not super Nickelback, but it's definitely kind of that vibe to it, especially there's a couple lyrics in there that are, like we're running every red light stop sign tonight and all that, kind of just having fun. And a lot of Nickelback songs actually talk about that, like Burn It to the Ground and shit like that. So it's a combination of all those, and it's got a little bit of country in it too, just a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's what I would
Well,
compare it mostly to.
well, that's cool. And did you see the Nickelback documentary yet?
It's funny, and I've been trying to watch it the past couple days. I'm so behind. My dad keeps urging me to watch these other A&E biographies. Like the Brett
I
Michaels
wonder
one.
why that is now. Why would that be?
Well, it's funny, and I don't want to sound like I'm gonna throw him under the bus on this one. He's not the biggest Sebastian Bach fan, but he's been urging me to watch the Sebastian Bach one. He says that it's emotional, so I watched that one last night. But I've really been meaning to watch that one, the Nickelback one. I was about to watch it in theaters, but I had a show lined up the day it was in theaters.
Fair enough. And you guys are doing is it tonight you're doing a show or tomorrow night?
There was a potential show. Oh no, you're right. We have an acoustic show today. Actually, you reminded me the second I'm doing this interview, I'm heading over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's is that a fundraiser? Is that what I got from the post that I saw?
Yeah. It's a fundraising show with this guy Bruce, who's in this awesome Guns N' Roses tribute band,
Awesome.
Night Train, and he does this every year. He usually does it down in Georgia.
That's cool. Just before we go any further, give a shout out to the rest of the fellows in the Gavin Evick Band because there's I saw. I see your post. There was one a couple weeks ago. You guys were just about to jump on a plane to go to Arizona or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, Making the rounds.
Just a rundown. My lead guitarist, his name is also Gavin. His name is Gavin Hades. He's the baby of the group. He's 17. I believe he was either 15 or 16 when he joined the band. And he's awesome. You look at him and, since he's been 13 years old, you could tell the kid's a prodigy. He is amazing. Then my rhythm guitarist, his name is Logan Blake, and he was my first ever guitarist in my band. And I've known him since high school. So he's been with me for a long time. My drummer's name is Steven Hudgens. He's down in kind of southeastern Virginia. And he's a pretty tasteful guy. You tell him to play some jazz, he'll play some terrible jazz for you. Or
That's the best kind of jazz, bud. That's the best kind of jazz right
yeah.
there.
And then he also could rip out some Avenged Sevenfold shit, which I'm not the biggest fan of Avenged Sevenfold, but he's got a lot of different styles. And then we got Max. He's the new guy at the band. Um, he's a musician's musician, man. I mean, he was a sound guy before he joined this band, and still is a sound guy. So it's like he took the band up a notch when he joined the band. Now every time we walk into a venue, he knows how to communicate with everybody there. And I've gotten compliments with opening up from national acts. The venue will tell us that we're the most professional ones there now because Max just knows how to communicate with all of them. And so all of us will fit. We're all puzzle pieces and we all fit so perfectly together. We all do. There's something that each one of us has that everybody else lacks. And it's not just a copy paste band where it's like every member is the exact same. We each have pieces and stuff that we just fill the void of what other members don't have. And it works so perfectly.
Great analogy, because I mean, if you're anybody's a sports fan and say a football team signs a coveted free agent, I mean, there's a thing called chemistry too. I mean, there's talent, but then there's chemistry, and if they're not kind of symbiotic, what's the point? You're spending money, good money for bad. So that's great.
Yeah.
So in terms of you guys out and playing and what you've been doing, how long have the sets been that you guys have been putting on?
I mean, they range. Typically, I'd say the most common is 45 minutes, but we've had a couple that have been 30 and then a couple that are an hour. I'd say our last one was an hour and 15. So, it depends. When we get to those longer sets, we definitely fill the void more with, covers and stuff. I mean, even no matter how long the set is, even 30 minutes, we still have a couple covers in there. But when we get to those hour sets, it's majority covers and stuff.
And it's a good strategy, because anybody in this day and age that's kind of doing stuff now will tell you that people's attention spans for full length albums, unless you're a major act, I mean, people's attention span is pretty low. So singles typically is what's working. So you have the first one out. What's your timeline to get more music out there?
Well, real quick. So I started the band about 2 years ago, or a little less than 2 years ago, because I released my first single and it was under Gavin Evick. It was called Favorite Songs. And then we changed the name to the Gavin Evick Band. There's this weird thing on Spotify. We were trying to combine it and, change Gavin Evick to the Gavin Evick Band, but then it created two separate accounts. So we have two songs out right now. We play Favorite Songs live and stuff. And I was actually in the studio yesterday recording the next song. So we're playing we're playing at the Whiskey A Go Go next week, and we're gonna play the new song there. So we're trying to get things going at a way faster pace, because a lot of big bands will tell you, even Nickelback will quote this, you release your first hit, then you got about a year to release your next one, or else you're gone. People's attention spans and stuff. You gotta stay consistent. I can't wait another year or two to release my next song. It's gotta be, if I'm not releasing an album in the next year, it's gotta be every 3 months you gotta release a single. Now I plan to release an album super, super soon, but I mean, I gotta release a few singles before then. And especially we're trying to keep ourselves busy with the tours and stuff. Like, we're doing a big show in a couple days with Night Ranger. That's going to be a big pavilion amphitheater. And then a few days after that, we're playing Vegas and LA. So we're definitely keeping ourselves busy.
I mean, you're getting in that line of fire, which is great. Are you? What's the feedback been? Because I know you go out there. I've had it happen myself. Like up in Canada, you mentioned Sebastian. I mean, I can tell you a funny story about getting chirped by him years and years ago, just after getting off the stage. But what's the feedback been? Has everybody been supportive of you guys? How's it gone?
Yeah. 100%, and it's funny, we're kind of making that transition where everybody's been supporting us from the ground up, from me being, Pete Evick's son and all that. But it's funny now seeing the transition into actually people liking us for not even knowing, the correlation between that. And, all the venues we're playing that don't even know that, I'm getting so much good feedback. And I'm going to word what I'm about to say very carefully. So Warrant, the band Warrant, is my favorite band of all time. I think Van Halen is the greatest band of all time, but Warrant's my favorite. And like we'll go out there, and we just did a show with Warrant and Lita Ford in Arizona. Um, and the feedback that we were getting, I try to filter it out because a lot of people will just kind of be, kiss your ass in the moment, say how good you are. But it oddly, as of recent, we're getting a lot of feedback from people that don't even know who we are, saying you guys blew this band out of the water, you blew this band out of the water, and we're starting to outsell, you know, our headlining bands and merch now. And it's like that. Numbers don't lie. A lot of people will kiss your ass, but once you start getting up in merch money, then that's when the numbers don't lie, and you really could tell how well the feedback is.
Well, I want to ask this because you brought it up. I didn't. I wasn't going to bring it up unless you did, but you mentioned your dad, and I've had copious conversations with him. I interviewed him. I've had a couple different conversations.
Mm,
You strike me as a guy. So I'm hearing you, and it's like a lot of things that you're saying. I've heard your father say.
mm,
But it sounds to me like you're taking the feedback and you're doing what very few other people. Like I know a lot of people. They'll ask you something. I'll give them a piece of advice based upon what Pete Evick told me, but they question me because it's coming from me, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
It sounds to me like you're listening to what's being told and you're putting it into play. So as the kid that's young who is doing that, if you had advice to give to people of any age that they're getting this feedback, because as I'm hearing this from you, you're saying some stuff to me that's mature beyond, years of, get people that I know in their 40s. What advice would you give to people if somebody's willing to give you advice on how to manage your career?
Find people that you trust, because it's really, really, really easy to get caught up in all that positive feedback, especially right after a show, because you never ever know who's just being nice and kissing your ass because they're starstruck, or not starstruck because that's a little extreme, but just kind of in the moment kissing your ass. The first thing I do the second I go off stage is I find somebody that I know, that I trust their opinion, whether it be, like a band member or one of the band members' parents or something like that, or just any musician that I know and respect that's not going to kiss my ass and will just
Yep.
straight be a dick to me. That's the first person I go up to and ask how my performance is. So when you're caught up in feedback, you really, really, really have to filter out what is just bullshit, kiss your ass feedback and real, real constructive criticism. I had a show the other day. My dad actually surprised me at. I didn't think he was going to show up. And he's positive and he'll tell me I did a good job, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how can I get better and how can I improve? Because like I said, it's so easy to get caught up in everybody else's compliments. I had 100 people come up to me and tell me how amazing I did. I filter that out. I enjoy it, but I listen to what the musicians say I could do better. So that's the advice I would give, is to really pick and choose what advice you listen to by who.
Um, I like what you're saying there because I find like I did a lot of work in minor hockey up here in Canada, and
Mm-hmm.
parents can be nuts, probably similar to football or baseball in the States. But when it comes to music, I find the people that are the most successful, if they have parents that are in the music business, are the ones that aren't necessarily opening all the doors for them, but making the people kind of find their own way.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, from what I'm hearing, I mean, Pete's not opening every freaking door and making phone calls and getting you on stuff. There's still an awful lot of stuff that he's sounding to me like he's getting you guys to pay a little bit of dues and appreciate the walk. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, and it's something that sometimes I kind of struggle with because I can honestly say that I couldn't be where I am today without my dad, and I don't think anybody in my band's accomplishments could have been done without my dad's help. But at the
Yep.
same time, against that, um, we just played, not just played, but like 9 months ago, we played an arena show, our first arena show with Brett, opening up for Brett, and so yes, my dad is the one that gave my name to the venue, but you also got to know he's a businessman, and he would not have given our name if we weren't ready and we didn't earn it at that point. So that's something that I tell a lot of people is yes, my dad helps us out a whole lot, but he definitely makes us earn it, and he won't put us in a position that we're not ready for, if that makes sense.
It does, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to have the cool question about nepotism because it's a real you guys are having some success, and the natural sort of thing for people to do is go, oh, well, it's Gavin's dad. It's not Gavin. They look past the fact that there's talent and they go to the connection, right? And I'm a big proponent of networks and networking. But the other side of the coin is too, is you do have to have talent. So you can work with whomever, but if you're not talented, you don't have songs, it doesn't matter. It won't resonate with people. So
Right.
have you dealt with that whole, have people, tried to throw the nepotism card at you? Because it doesn't look to me like, Brett Michaels is going, hey, Gavin, come on out. And looks like you guys are working for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody has been a straight up kind of dick and kind of, said that, but sometimes there's implications, but you're right. We're not on that party girl tour. We're not
Yep.
on this, those doors aren't open yet. We're not signed to a label yet. We're really trying to take steps, or we may have skipped a step or two here and there, but we're not going from here to here.
Yep.
We're getting up there. We're taking the steps necessary to actually be good musicians, because I need to practice what I preach, in the sense of, I want to be, if we're big, I want to be a real rock and roll band. And I don't want to be a big band that uses backing tracks. No offense to anybody that uses backing tracks, but it's like, there's a lot of artists nowadays that, it's like social media influencers that they turn into artists, because you don't need a whole lot of skill or talent to really be an artist nowadays. And I'm really trying to take the steps necessary to, let's just say I'm doing a stadium show one day. I want to be the person that says I'm the only band on this bill that's not using backing tracks and all that. So we're taking we're becoming good musicians and earning our position to be in the spots, rather than just jumping up to it.
That's an interesting statement, because I know an awful lot of younger bands that they kind of, what they grew up listening to was bands that not necessarily maybe lived and died with backing tracks, but definitely had them. Back in the day, you mentioned Warren. I mean, I interviewed Joey, and they used to use vocal tracks, and then they left their whole rig in Japan and had to figure out how to do it live, right? So,
Yeah.
and there used to be plenty of instances of people using offstage keyboard players, and a good friend of mine was the offstage keyboard player for All American Rejects for a few years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so for you to, kind of make that distinction is interesting, because I'm going to also say that you grew up listening to some of those bands that didn't have backing tracks, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, but it's so split now. I mean, you got, obviously, back in the day, Rolling Stones and Motley Crue, maybe Motley Crue, didn't use backing tracks in the early 80s, 60s, 70s, whenever. But I mean, nowadays they're doing massive stadium shows and it's all tracks. I don't know enough about Rolling Stones, but I mean, you can't do a show that massive without having some type of tracks. I know that, probably their lead vocals and guitars are real, but, a lot of those bands in the 80s that didn't use tracks now do in high productions.
Yeah, you're pretty much forced to with lighting cues
Yeah,
and all that big
time.
stuff, right? So, look, man, I don't want to keep you. I know you're busy. You got to get to a show. So, last question for you here, my man. Where are my viewers going to find out about you guys and what's going on and how to follow you and get your music, etc.?
Yeah, social media, you can find me just at Gavin Evick, or if you want to follow the band and stuff, we actually just created a social media account for the Gavin Evick Band. So if you want to follow that, you can, or you can just follow us individually if you want. You just follow me, Gavin Evick, or the Gavin Evick Band.
Thank you, sir. It's great we finally get to do this. Good luck with the show tonight. Say hi to your old man. He's on the show tonight too, is he not?
Yes, he is. I'm sitting in with him.
That'll be fun. Best of luck, and we'll check in and see how it goes throughout the summer.
Appreciate it, man.
Gavin Evick, Rock Rage Radio Network. We'll see you soon.
Take care. Thanks.